Sam's telling David, you're trying to scam me. You're in cahoots with this Eric guy, and you're trying to scam me. I bought this house. This house is mine. I'm not giving it up. Hey, guys, imagine this. You're here in the Philippines. You've been here for 10 years. You build yourself a house, and you're living the perfect life. You take yourself and your wife back to the U.S., and then when you return to the Philippines, your life has turned into a nightmare. Your house is no longer yours. The story is about David and his wife, Maria. David has lived in the Philippines for over 10 years. He's in his late 50s. He's married to Maria. Now, Maria is a Filipina. She's in her 40s, and they've been married for over 6 years. They decided at one point to buy some land and build a house. And they accomplished that. That was their dream. So they have a piece of property. They have a house on the property. But David wants to take his wife back to the U.S. He wants to take her to get her green card and to try to become a U.S. citizen. He got a spousal visa. But the problem is, what do you do with the house? Now, the house, it's a nice house. They don't want to lose the house, but they don't want to rent it out to strangers. And Maria's family is down in Mindanao. The house is up in Tagaytay, and they just don't want to bring family from Mindanao up here to take care of the house. They really don't have too much to do with Maria's family. They don't know what to do. So David reaches out to a close friend. He has this friend named Eric. Now, Eric's been here in the Philippines for a few years. He is a good friend of David's. He rents an apartment in town, and David makes him an offer that's hard to refuse. He offered the house to Eric, for Eric to move into with his girlfriend, Lydia, and Eric and Lydia would live there. They would be the caretakers of the house. They would pay very little rent. They would pay the bills and everything, and they would take care of the property and make sure, nothing happens to it. When you leave the Philippines for 1, 2, or 3 years and you have a piece of property, you have a house, and no one lives in it, one of two things is going to happen. The jungle's going to grow onto the property and in the house, and the bugs and the lizards and such are going to be inside the house. Or, worse yet, it's going to get vandalized and robbed. So it's a better alternative, if you don't want to rent it, to get a caretaker. And David was very comfortable with this arrangement. Well, David and his wife, they left to go to the U.S. to apply for her green card and to spend the time that is needed to become a permanent resident in the U.S. and also in the future to become a U.S. citizen, which is their final goal. A couple people think they get scammed in this story. So let me bring into the picture Sam and Claire. Now, Sam and Claire live in Manila, and Sam wants to get a house to rent. He doesn't want to live in a condo anymore. So he starts looking around for houses to rent, and he's decided, I really don't want to rent. I would like to buy, but I don't have the cash to buy completely, pay 100%. He is looking at a mortgage or some sort of owner financing. So he places an ad on Marketplace, and he says, looking to buy a house, looking for owner financing or installment payments. Now, being a foreigner here in the Philippines, getting a mortgage is a tough thing to do. He's with his girlfriend. It's not his wife at this time. So there's no way he could get a mortgage for her. He doesn't have enough income. He also doesn't have enough time. And he's really not interested in buying land, spending that year or two that it takes to get a clean title, and then the hassle of building something. He just didn't want to go through all that. And he wanted to buy a house that was already built. So he placed the ad. Well, he got a lot of replies to this ad, and they were mostly for people selling condos. A lot of people selling condos on installment payments, owner financing, just a lot of people contacting him about condos, and he was not interested in a condo. He really wanted to buy a house. Well, one day he got a reply, and it was from Eric. Now, Eric is the gentleman who is caretaking the house of David's. And Eric told him, hey, I got a place here for you. If you're interested, come on down and take a look at it. Maybe we can work something out. Well, David, he's all excited. He says, yeah, I'll be down there. He went down there the next day, and they looked at the house. And the asking price from Eric was 13 million pesos. Now, Sam does not have that kind of money. Sam does not have 13 million pesos. Without draining his 401, selling all his stocks, just selling everything, and he didn't want to put himself in that burden of selling everything. So Sam said, what kind of terms can we come up with? And after negotiating a bit, they came up with 5 million pesos down, 100,000 pesos a month for the next 36 months. And then at the end of the 36 months, a balloon payment of 4 million plus pesos. Well, Sam said, that's great. I could afford that. That's something I could do. By the time the 3 years goes by, I'll be able to recoup a lot of my investments. You know, he's hoping the stock market goes up. He gets his income from his pension and his 401. So that was a great deal for him. So he ended up giving Eric the 5 million pesos. They got a contract. Now, Eric's girlfriend, Lydia, she represented herself to Sam as Maria, the woman whose name is on the title. They went to see a lawyer, so Sam thought that person was a lawyer, and they drew up the contract. It's a purchase agreement with a down payment of 5 million pesos, 100,000 pesos a month. Everybody signed on the dotted lines. Eric gave Sam the keys. Sam could not be more happy. He found himself a nice house to live in. The terms were agreeable, and he was very happy. Well, some time went by. David decides to come back to the Philippines. Now, David brings his wife, and they want to come see their house, and they messaged Eric that they were coming back to the Philippines. Well, when they got back to the Philippines, he went to his house, and he couldn't get in the gate. The gate was locked. So he rang the bell. Well, out comes Sam. David goes, hey, who are you? This is my house. Let me in. Sam says, no, it's not your house. This is my house. Now, Sam is like really pissed here at someone's at his gate claiming that they own this house that he purchased. And David is standing on the outside of the gate looking in at his own house. And he's really upset, saying, come on, guy, this is my house. Quit joking around. Let me in. Well, Sam decided, I'm not letting anybody in. He went back into the house and let the dogs loose. So here's David. What can he do? He went back into town. He got into a hotel, and he was reaching out, trying to get hold of Eric. He could not get hold of Eric anywhere. And Eric is long gone with what? He's long gone with the 5 million pesos down payment and about 6 or 7 months worth of 100,000 peso payments. So what is everybody supposed to do? You have this con going on here. Somebody bought a house from somebody who didn't own it, and the real owner showed up. Who is in the right here? Who is in the wrong? David went to see Sam, and he told Sam the story. And Sam goes, no, I don't believe you. I think you're part of the scam with Eric to try to get me to leave the property and keep the money that I put down on this house. I have a signed contract from Maria that we bought this house for X amount of money with an X amount of payment, and this is my house. Sam's telling David, you're trying to scam me. You're in cahoots with this Eric guy, and you're trying to scam me. I bought this house. This house is mine. I'm not giving it up. So David goes to the authorities. The authorities go, this is a civil matter. This is not a criminal matter between Sam and yourself, David. This has to be settled by a judge. Is the contract valid or not? Well, David's just thrown his hands up in the air. What can I do? There's nothing I can do. He looks high and far for Eric. Eric is long gone. But Sam is still convinced that David and Eric are working in cahoots. Now, a lot of trouble is going on. There's some notifications from an attorney. There's a lot of trouble at the gate. You know, David and Sam are confronting each other weekly. This is turning to a big mess. And David decides to tell Sam, what's it going to take for you to leave? And Sam says, you need to make me whole. I want all my money back. If it's true that Eric scammed us and you're the rightful owner of this property, give me back my money. Give me back my 5 million. Give me back all the monthly payments that I made. Make me whole again. And I'll leave. David went back to his wife. They talked it over. It's a hard pill to swallow, but David decided, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay this man his money. And, you know, this is over 100,000 USD that he has to pay. This is what he's lost because he left and he trusted somebody to be the caretaker of his house. So he got scammed. So he ends up giving Sam the money. Sam packed up and David and Maria moved back into their house. Now they still have to go back to the U.S., but this is a bitter pill to swallow that he had to pay all this money. And Sam really believes that he was going to be a victim of a scam. He really believes that if he didn't dig in and drew a line in the sand, that he wanted his money back, that he didn't believe these guys. He believed they were in on the scam against him. He wouldn't have gotten his money back. So at the end of the story, Eric and his girlfriend are long gone. They got 100,000 plus USD. They're gone. Nobody knows where they're at. Sam, his hopes are busted. He thought he had the perfect house. He was in the perfect situation. He was, in a happy place. He thought everything was kosher. And then the bubble popped when David showed up at the gate. Now, David, he's out the money because he had to pay Sam to leave. So he lost over $100,000 in the deal. So you have three guys here, all foreigners, all doing the wrong thing probably. But who ended up being scammed? Was David and Eric in on the scam, trying to take advantage of Sam? Or was Eric scamming everybody, and it being that David was the one who ended up getting scammed because it cost him money to get back his house that he already paid for, that he owned, and he already, made all his investments, and he thought he was home clear and free with a beautiful house here in the Philippines with his beautiful wife. So David, he struggled to make Sam whole in this issue. He was the victim of all of this. David was the overall victim of losing money. Sam was a victim of a con artist. There's so many con artists here in the Philippines, mostly foreigners. Hard for me to imagine a Filipino doing that, even though they probably do. This is a story that could happen in any country in the world, not just here in the Philippines, but con artists. They're everywhere. You have to be careful. And the mistakes, I'm going to tell you what I thought the mistakes were. The mistake that Sam made, he didn't get his own attorney. He used Eric's attorney. And was that person an attorney? That is still the question. Just because someone puts a shingle outside the door of a beat-up old office and says attorney at law doesn't really make them an attorney. And just because they have a notary stamp doesn't mean they're a real notary. And fake IDs are a dime a dozen here in the Philippines. Just ask the U.S. Embassy. As they're processing people to go to the U.S. on either a fiancé visa or a visitor's visa, the embassy knows that you can get fake IDs all over. Just because they show you an ID does not mean that is who they represent themselves as being. And David, he left all his important papers in the house. He left the title. He left the paperwork. All this stuff was in the house. Easy for Eric to go through and find the right papers that he needed to get copied or to get notarized so he could sell the house to Sam. So many mistakes were made, and let's hope Eric gets caught and something bad happens to Eric, but at this time, nobody knows where he is. You know what they say in the fight business, defend yourself at all times. Be careful. Be careful of scammers. Be careful of these con artists who smooth talk you, make deals that are too good to be true. And until next time, guys, hope it doesn't happen to any of you.